Over the past couple of years, I have launched so many times, and if you've been reading my emails, you probably know that I had a lot of really failed launches where I actually sold 0 products, and that happened so many times before I started having successful launches that started earning me thousands of dollars in just 1 week. And so you're probably wondering what made the difference between these two extremes. These launches where I made 0 sales and these launches where I made dozens of sales. And let me tell you, it's actually really simple. When I was launching and making 0 sales, it's because I wasn't investing in advertising. And now I know what you're thinking, you don't have money to invest in advertising, you can't do that, so you need some different solution. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you exactly how you can invest in advertising, how you can get started now, and the impact that it can have on your launch, because I promise this is an essential part of having a successful launch. The reason I didn't advertise for so long and I had all those failed launches was because honestly, I was pretty broke. My husband and I were just starting a family, we just bought a house, I was trying to get my business off the ground, and I just didn't have very much money to invest in my business at all. We were pretty much living paycheck to paycheck, and every dollar that I earned from my business we really needed just to support our family. And so I thought, there's no way I can actually invest in advertising. Plus, my biggest fear was that I would pay all this money for advertising and then it wouldn't result in any sales. And I know that if you're in the same place where you don't have a whole lot of disposable income, then that can be a really scary proposition. You're spending money to put up these ads online and you don't even know if they're going to turn into anything. You don't know if people will click on them, you don't know if people want to buy what you're selling, and you definitely don't know if you can actually convert the people who click on the ads into buyers. You might get a ton of traffic from your ad, but then nobody buys your product. So you probably have at least 3 big holdups with investing in advertising. One of them is maybe you don't have very much money to invest. The other one is you don't know if the ads would actually work. And the third one is you don't know if you could actually successfully convert these people into buyers. So when I was broke and I finally decided to start investing in advertising, here's what I did. I started with just a few dollars a day. And at first I was even scared to do that because I thought, well, a few dollars a day, even that's going to add up a lot. But if you think about it, if you were to invest $5 a day, that would only be $150 a month. And I know $150 a month isn't nothing, but there are a lot of different ways that you can earn a small amount of money like that. You could do babysitting jobs. You could hustle really hard and find a couple more clients for your current business. You could take a part-time job. You could sell things on eBay. And I know that there's a lot of content out there online that says like ways to make money, and one of the ways to make money is to sell things on eBay or sell things on Craigslist. I don't believe that that is actually a way to make money because it's not sustainable at all. You could sell all your things and then you wouldn't have things, and then you'd spend the money and you wouldn't have money. So it doesn't work for making money in the future, but it does work for getting some money for right now to invest in something so that you can get more money in the future and actually be making money in the future. So the thing that made the difference in my launches was I figured out a way to scrounge up a little bit of money, and honestly it was just about $150 a month for a couple months leading up to my first launch. And it made a big difference. Now, the first launch wasn't huge, not gonna lie here, but I went from having 0 sales to making a few sales, and it more than paid for my ads. And let me tell you, I was not a pro with the advertising. I was figuring it out on my own. I was not very persuasive in my writing, and I was really just DIYing everything and figuring it out on my own. And honestly, it could have been a flop. I only made a few sales. I easily could have made 0 sales. But it was only a few $100s invested, and it was a great learning experience. After I had that first semi-successful launch and I learned how to run the ads somewhat, then I was able to go on to do bigger launches in the future. Because I did make some profit, I was able to reinvest that money and also find some more money around, save up a little bit of money, not splurge quite so much. I was able to save up a few $100s to have a bigger launch in the future. So even if you've got very little disposable income right now, there's probably a way that you could find a few $100s so that you can really invest in your business to help your next launch be successful. The next thing that I'm going to share with you is my system for getting the best results from a small Facebook ads budget. Now, if you only have a little bit of money to spend on Facebook ads, then obviously you want to get the best results possible. So here's what I do. I break my ad budget up into 3 segments. Each of those segments is a different campaign for a different part of my launch. The first one is for the pre-launch. I run some ads that are promoting a video or an inspirational post with no links to click and nothing for sale. These ads are just to get people familiar with my face so that they're more likely to click on the ads in the future. These ads are really cheap because we're just showing people something and we're not asking Facebook to get us any sort of quantifiable result. We just are trying to get people familiar with who we are and what we stand for. Then for the second phase, I have a second campaign, and in that campaign, I do have a free offer that I want people to take me up on. So this is something that I'm giving away for free in exchange for people's email addresses. It could be a video workshop, a PDF guide, an ebook, something that would attract people who are potentially interested in buying my products later on, but doesn't give them all the answers up front. It gives them a small win that they will be really delighted to have right now and gets them in the right direction for the big win that they want later on. The third phase of my advertising sequence is a third campaign, and this one is promoting the actual product that I'm selling. And for this one, I only target the people who responded positively to the first 2 campaigns or people who actually opted in during the second campaign. Now, normally how I divide up my ad budget across these campaigns is 20% for the first one, 60% for the second one, and 20% for the third one, but it does kind of depend on the specific situation. Sometimes it might be more like 25, 50, 25. So basically what this looks like is if I'm spending $100 on ads in a month, then I'd spend $25 on the first campaign, $50 on the second, and $25 on the third. This is also roughly how I divide up the time. So I'll spend 25% of the time for my whole launch on the first campaign, 50% on the second, and 25% on the third. So for example, if I am launching over the course of 2 months, then I might spend about half a month doing the warm-up ads of the first campaign, and then I spend a whole month trying to get people to opt in and join my list. And then I spend about half a month, or sometimes it's a lot less because my open cart might be just 1 week, but I promote the actual item that is for sale. Now you might be wondering how big the results you could expect to get from spending a small amount of money on ads like this. And honestly, the answer is it could vary a lot, but here's some numbers to give you an idea. Let's say that you were doing $5 a day, so it was $150 a month, and you launched over the period of 2 months, so you spent a total of $300. So basically you spent $75 on your first warm-up campaign. Now it's pretty common to be able to show your ad to 1,000 people for $1 to $5. So if you spend $75 on your warm-up campaign, then somewhere between 15,000 and 75,000 people would see your warm-up ad. And that's a whole lot of people. Then for the second campaign, you'd be spending a total of about $150. Now this is a leads campaign, so we're trying to get people to join the list. It's pretty common to be able to get people to join your list for $2 to $3. So if you spend a total of $150, you could expect to get 50 to 75 leads for that price. And then you move on to the third campaign and you have $75 to spend. And for this campaign, it varies greatly, but you can assume that you'll get somewhere between a 1% and a 10% conversion rate. So realistically, you could expect to make somewhere between 2 and 5 sales. Now, 2 to 5 sales isn't that many, but that's why this system is good for someone who's selling a higher priced service or digital product. So this isn't going to work if you're selling a $10 ebook. It's just not going to pan out. But if you're selling a service that goes for hundreds or thousands of dollars, or you're selling some sort of online course or membership site, then this advertising system is really powerful. You spent $300 and you got 2 to 5 sales. And that means that each sale cost you somewhere between $50 and $150. Now that's a pretty steep price to pay, but consider how much money you're actually making. If you're a web designer and you're selling a $3,000 service, well, I think you can afford to spend $50 or $150 to make that sale. If you were selling some sort of online course and you price your course at $9.97, which is a pretty common price for a course, then you're making hundreds of dollars in profit. And even if you're selling a lower priced course that goes for $300 or $500, you're still making positive profit and you're growing your audience in the process. You're adding somewhere between 50 and even 100 email addresses to your list. And even if they don't buy right now, over time, as they get to know you better and you build that relationship and that trust with them, they're more likely to buy from you in the future. And that brings me to my last point, which is that every launch gives you a golden opportunity that you really need to not miss. And that is an opportunity to grow your list and grow your audience. For a long time, the entire first half of that 2 years while I was trying to launch and failing to launch, I was also trying to grow my audience. Everyone was telling me you need to work on building your list. And so I read all these articles about how to build a list. I bought a very expensive course about how to build my list. And I was trying all these different strategies and tactics. And honestly, my list was growing embarrassingly slowly. It wasn't until I started having successful launches that my list actually started to grow quickly. I started adding dozens and then hundreds of new email subscribers to my list every single month, and I started growing my income at the same time as well. Now, this wasn't just a coincidence. This specifically happened because I finally started investing money in advertising, and so my list started growing because of that. Now, I'm not saying go spend a bunch of money on ads so that you can grow your list, but what I am saying is that if you are doing a launch and you are selling something, then you have a profit that you are expecting to get, and so every dollar that you spend on ads isn't just an expense, it's actually an investment. It's money that you are using to attract buyers so that you can sell more of your product. And that means that you have this golden list growing opportunity from your launch. Any other time, if you're trying to grow your list, it can be a very slow process or very expensive if you're trying to do it with ads. But when you're launching, because you're selling something, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can expect to profit more for every dollar that you spend on those ads and be growing your list in the process. Okay, so that pretty much sums up everything for today's video lesson. The challenge question for today is, what would you do with $100,000? If you won $100,000, how would you spend it? Head over to the Facebook group and post your answer to that question for the chance to win a copy of Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. People have been loving this book over the past couple of years, and if you want to get your hands on a copy, then you should definitely go answer the challenge question. And even if you already have a copy or you've already read Big Magic, still answer the challenge question because I still want to know how you would spend $100,000. You can probably guess what my answer to the question is, but just in case you're curious, I'll post my answer in the group as well, and then you can comment and let me know if it was what you thought it was. Okay, well that's all for today. I'll be back tomorrow for day 4 of the Ready Set Launch Challenge, and together we're gonna map out your entire launch on the calendar, and we're also gonna make some profit predictions to figure out exactly how much you could earn from your launch.